If you clicked on this video, then it's your lucky day. This video is not like other content creators out there that contain hollow, generic, and fake promises. My content will actually teach you how to solve Overwatch no matter what elo or role you are. This is the video that you need to watch to understand what to do in each game. No fake promises, no unnecessary filler. By the end of this video, your view on Overwatch will have been transformed forever. You may not realize it yet, but map control is the ultimate goal of every match. No matter what role you are, this is how you will carry games, and knowing what to do, when and where, will influence your chances of winning and will have immediate benefits in your gameplay. So keep in mind when going forward that everything I am teaching and explaining is based on you getting as much map control as possible. This is because map control gives us an advantage over our opponents. It gives us a resource advantage, and with this, we should win every fight. So let's start with the word resources. You might think you know what resources are, but resources is everything from a player's character, which can range down from the ammo they have in their clip to their big ability cooldowns. And not understanding how to use them will take away from our ability to control the map. It is crucial for you, the player, to understand how you need to reserve your resources. You watching this right now probably throw away resources with no regard to map control. Or even worse, walk into disadvantaged positions. If you fight in bad space, you have to make up for your mistakes by using more resources than necessary, nullifying the map advantage. Since the game boils down to resources, you will need to know how to use them properly and make the enemy use more than you. However, to make you understand that, I need to teach you this first. Straight from our spawn doors all the way to the objective, we can find chokes and high grounds, and you will notice that in between all of this space, Blizzard has added in tons of objects that we can break line of sight with. And in between these breaks are the open areas that are extremely dangerous to be in. So listen closely, because this pattern will help you understand Overwatch in a way you've never seen it before. You'll notice that from a corner, there's open space, which leads to a corner, which leads to open space, which leads to a corner, which leads to open space. And this repeats all across every map. So all we have to do is avoid the open spaces and make the enemy team walk into the open spaces, right? Yeah, exactly. It's really simple to understand, yet so many players at all elos fundamentally misunderstand how to abuse this to their advantage. Now, a key characteristic of these open spaces is that they are exposed to multiple angles. Therefore, there are more ways for the player to be caught off guard or to be put in a disadvantaged state. So I want you to imagine if a Reinhardt were to walk into this open space and a shield were to break, what would happen to him? What's going to happen to Reinhardt is he's going to die before he makes it back to cover. So you see now that resources are part of the equation. We will have to use more resources to cross these dangerous territories to get to safe ones. There we can recover our resources so we can push out again. This is the cyclical nature of Overwatch. Now, some of you might have been thinking, well, how about I just never go into that open space and then I always have an advantage? Well, you would be correct. However, Overwatch is an objective-based game which forces the team that wants the objective to cross these open spaces to get there. Therefore, that is the defender's advantage, the advantage of having map control. However, I still need to teach you on how to control space, and it's so important that every role knows how to do this. Look at this shape, because this is your new best friend. This is so incredibly useful. You can see here, the short part of the L is where you want to be. So if you're around a corner, you can jiggle peek back and forth, apply pressure to the enemy safely, and, if something goes wrong, duck behind cover. This part of the line is where you don't want to be. As you know, if something goes wrong, you can't immediately duck behind cover, and you have to spend a long time getting back to safety. If we apply the shape to the corner, open space, corner, rotating pattern, you will see very quickly that we can easily break down each map with it. We want to make the enemy team cross into the open space so that we can save our resources, and this is why high grounds, corners are so important, because then we can control our engage timings without exposing ourselves. But another pattern that I want to see is on my YouTube page, because for every view, I would love to see a like and a sub. It's free, and I know I will make you better at Overwatch, and it's not something that you will regret. Trust me. Now, of course, Overwatch isn't so linear like this, but this understanding is an amazing way to build a pattern out of the map and start to develop knowledge on how to tackle it. Because hopefully what my video has done so far is just teach you the basics. You can start to test out all the millions of questions that come with it. As the way that we control space is dependent on these resources, and each hero has different strengths and weaknesses and power spikes. As a quick example, with Zarya, she will want to bait the enemy into her and then fight back with her bubbles to try and contain them in the bad space. So if you were against a Sigma, you would want to bait him in, wear down his resources, and overwhelm him. However, against something like a Reinhardt, who has better brawl and works better in close range, she wants to make sure she can whittle down his shield while falling back to her next corner, trading space for damage, all the while waiting for either a pick that allows her to now overwhelm the Reinhardt, or she will have to continuously give up space until a condition is met where she has the resource advantage. I'll get into a little bit later what it means to trade space for resources, but before I can do that, I really need to explain this next concept first. I want you to envision your tank as a line. Everything behind it is your friendly space, and the enemy team has the same thing. I want to run through some in-game examples now to show you these concepts in action. The blue team's Reinhardt is hiding behind them, so he's not contesting and holding space at the choke. The Bastion does not adapt to that and soaks the entire enemy team. And as a consequence, because he's too far into the open, he dies. Naturally, the attacking team is moving forward to take more map control, and if we look at the Genji, he's bypassing the negatives of a choke by going at an off angle. And because of this, he saves his HP and his resources, and he notices that the Bastion is out of position and within his range. And so by getting that kill, he has eliminated a resource. What most DPS players fall into is this trap of, well, we have an advantage, let's keep it going. And he instantly dashes into open space. Now, as a consequence of this, he dies. This is because after he got the Bastion pick, he should have checked to see how his team was doing. He would have noticed that his Hanzo was dead, therefore this would have been a 4v4. But more importantly, his Reinhardt was dead. And without tanks, it's very difficult for the team to take space. We can clearly see that the Genji is now within the enemy lines before he dashes into the open, meaning that he could have easily identified that he should have gone back. As explained earlier, I've explained how corners are advantageous to us, but I think it is very important to understand the concept of corner flipping. This is the biggest thing that low elo players do not understand. Since the advantage of the corner is keeping them within the open space, if the enemy team gets close to us or has more resources to push us out, the corner will flip, they will get the short end, and we will be forced to walk through open space. To avoid this, we need to know our matchups or the state of the fight and what resources we have to avoid getting overwhelmed so that we can hold our position. But it is very uncommon to just hold your space. So if we look at the Bastion example again, we can see that he is too far away from his team, he's alone and isolated, meaning that he's very susceptible to being caught out. As we saw earlier, this is exactly what happens. But if he uses the skills I've taught you, he would recognize that he is in a bad spot, and to fix it, he should now back away to the next corner. And now if the Genji tries to come at him, there is another patch of open space for the Genji to cross. And if the Genji has all the resources again and he's within range, the Bastion again has to back away until he's created enough distance to stay in an advantage state and to avoid being caught within this corner flip. Everything I've mentioned so far talks about resource advantages and how we make the enemy use more resources than us. In this example, the red team has map control and the enemy team is forced to move through the choke and through the open space. What I want to highlight here is the Genji player is playing around the corner, he's saving his resources, the Rein is falling back and giving the open space, just like our previous example. And when the enemy team starts to move through the choke, the Genji uses this as a timing to flank around their line of sight, where he finds a low HP support that is easy to finish off. You might think this is lucky or random, but no. Because the enemy team is moving through and she's not getting the proper peel, it means that the Genji can easily finish off the target and not have to worry about being turned on. Now I want to talk about the ultimate resource. Get it? We have to start transforming our view of ultimates as a way to control and manipulate the space. And the likelihood of this Reinhardt hitting a shatter is incredibly high when an enemy team doesn't have their bubbles, they don't have the dashes or the wraiths, or they're preoccupied with something else. Because they're in open space, when he hits the shatter, they have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide, and he's commanded and taken back that space by using a resource. We should use every ultimate like this. If we use ultimates too early, before the enemy team has committed resources and committed intention to take space, they can easily wait it out, use all their resources to counter it, and you will get no value out of your ultimates. This is the easy fix to that. So, Overwatch is a game dictated by space. Our map control allows us to pressure out the enemy, bait them into open spaces, where they will have to use more resources than us. We ourselves should not push into open spaces without our cooldowns. You have to respect that these are more difficult and dangerous pushes. So you need to know your role, know what part of the map is left open. How can I help my teammates, or how can I outplay somebody out of position? If they're defaulting, they're giving up the entire map. Punish them by trying to bait them into open space, surround them, rotate around the map. There's so many options, and by understanding what I taught you today, and my god, I wish I had this when I was learning, then you can go out there right now and grind thousands of games while working on developing your ideas of how to position and how to bait and find the best spots on each map. And this guide should give you an idea on where to start and to where to develop. Best part is, I offer paid coaching, so I can teach you how to learn this more quickly, depending on your case, your role, your person. I've also set up a Patreon for those who want more educational content, where I have every single VOD review I have done organized by role, rank, and hero, all available for you to study and learn from. This is a great, cheaper alternative, and if you want to support me, you could do so there. The link's down below. Much love, everyone.